The studio lights dimmed as the host announced the next performer. From the side of the stage, a Filipino man in his mid-30s slowly stepped forward. He wasn't wearing a flashy outfit, just a clean white shirt tucked into dark jeans, his shoes slightly worn. But there was something sincere in the way he walked, a quiet confidence that seemed to come from a place of deep purpose. The judges glanced at him curiously. Simon Cowell leaned back, studying the contestant's nervous smile. Sofia Vergara whispered something to Heidi Klum, both trying to guess what kind of performance this shy man would give. The man's name was Michael Cruz, a hotel janitor from Manila who had spent years saving money to fly to America and audition for America's Got Talent. When the host handed him the microphone, Michael's hands trembled. He smiled shyly and said, "Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Cruz, and I'm from the Philippines." The crowd applauded softly. His voice cracked slightly as he continued, "I grew up listening to Elvis Presley. My father, he loved Elvis more than anything. He passed away a few years ago, and this song is for him." There was a brief silence. The band prepared the music track. The camera zoomed in on Michael's face, nervous, vulnerable, but glowing with quiet determination. Simon tilted his head, intrigued. As the first soft notes of "Can't Help Falling in Love" played, Michael closed his eyes and took a deep breath. For a second, he seemed to disappear into his memories, back to his father's small living room in Manila, where Elvis' voice used to echo from an old cassette player. Then he began to sing. The first line, "Wise men say, only fools rush in," floated through the studio like a whisper of the past. The tone was deep and velvety, eerily close to Elvis himself. A hush fell over the audience. Simon blinked and leaned forward. The atmosphere changed instantly. It wasn't just a performance anymore, it felt like something sacred had begun. By the time he reached the chorus, the audience had stopped moving. No one spoke, no one clapped. They just listened. The man's voice carried emotion so raw and real that it felt like the king had come back to life through him. As the song continued, Michael's confidence grew. His eyes opened slightly, catching the light of the stage, and for a moment, he seemed transformed. The nervous janitor was gone. In his place stood a man channeling pure soul. His voice deepened, wrapping around the melody like velvet smoke. Every word came out with the same warmth and sincerity that made Elvis Presley a legend. The crowd's energy shifted from curiosity to awe. Even the judges were speechless. Sophia's mouth fell open in shock. Heidi placed a hand over her heart, whispering to Howie, "He sounds exactly like Elvis." But Simon didn't say a word. His eyes glistened slightly, the corners softening as he watched the man who had turned a tribute into a resurrection. Michael's voice carried through every corner of the studio. He wasn't just mimicking Elvis, he was feeling him. Each lyric seemed to hold a lifetime of love, loss, and longing. When he sang, "Take my hand, take my whole life too," his voice cracked just slightly, not from mistake, but from emotion too deep to hide. The camera panned to the audience. Tears streamed down faces. Some held hands. Some closed their eyes. Even security guards near the doors stood still, watching in disbelief. And then, something incredible happened. The entire crowd fell completely silent. Not a whisper, not a rustle, not even a breath could be heard. It was as if the world itself had paused to listen. Michael held the final note, his eyes shut tight, his hand trembling as he poured out every ounce of emotion left in his soul. The silence after the last note was electric, heavy and holy. Then suddenly, a single clap echoed through the hall. It was Simon. He rose to his feet slowly, clapping with purpose. Within seconds, the entire audience followed, roaring in applause that shook the stage. The applause thundered for nearly a full minute before Simon raised his hand for quiet. He looked at Michael, who now stood frozen, tears in his eyes, microphone trembling in his hand, and said softly, "That was something special." Simon's voice cracked slightly as he continued, "You didn't just sing like Elvis. You brought him back." For a few minutes, we were all reminded what pure music feels like. No tricks, no ego, just heart. Michael covered his face, trying not to cry, but his emotions spilled over. The audience shouted his name, "Michael! Michael!" as golden light shimmered across the stage. Sophia wiped away tears, saying, "You made us all feel something beautiful today." When the cheering died down, Michael finally spoke, his voice trembling. "I grew up in a small village in the Philippines. My father worked so hard. Every night, we listened to Elvis together. When he died, I promised him one thing, that one day, I'd sing his favorite song on a big stage. I didn't think I'd ever get here, but I did. The audience erupted again. Even Simon smiled warmly, something that didn't happen often. Then, out of nowhere, the golden buzzer sound rang. Sophia had slammed her hand down, tears streaming down her cheeks. Golden confetti burst from the ceiling, swirling around Michael like glittering rain. He fell to his knees, crying, as the stage filled with gold light. The crowd screamed in joy. Simon stood and clapped again, shouting over the noise, "You deserved that." The music swelled, Elvis instrumental softly playing again as Michael looked up into the falling confetti. For him, this was more than a performance. It was a promise kept, a tribute to his father, and proof that even the most humble dreams can shake the world when sung with love. As the camera zoomed in on his tearful smile, Simon said one last line that echoed through the studio in the hearts of millions watching around the world. "Elvis would be proud of you." The screen faded to black, but the silence that followed, that sacred silence of the crowd before the applause, would become one of the most unforgettable moments in AGT history.